Hi, I'm Trevor from ghd-repair.co.uk, and we are looking at the Type 2 cable and socket arrangements, and this is a very unreliable cable and socket. So that is a Type 2 cable. On yours you may find that this white bit is in fact black, but you will see that little centre pin just protruding a little when it's removed, and you will find that that is the socket that it plugs into. This is the newer type with the circular grip that goes around this centre pin. On the original type there were three little metal fingers that would grip that centre pin, and over the years they would become loose and then they would spark, and that would damage the socket and the cable. Now, we do not recommend fitting this cable and socket. If you have currently a Type 2 cable and socket like this, please replace the cable and the socket with the far more reliable Type 3 cable and socket, and I'll just show you what that looks like now. That is that is not a Type 3. Let me just grab one. That is a Type 3 cable, and that is a Type 3 socket. Perfectly compatible with all models of GHDs that have a Type 2 cable and socket fitted, but you must replace both parts at the same time. If you're looking to replace just the cable, we would recommend that you do not do that. The cable may be damaged, but almost certainly there will be wear to this socket. Likewise, if you find that the socket is burnt, do not just replace this socket. You would need to change the cable and socket at the same time and swap to the Type 3 cable and socket. Now, how can you tell whether you have a Type 2 cable and socket fitted? Unfortunately, it's a little tricky because the 4.2 model that uses the Type 2 can also have a Type 3 cable and socket fitted. Now, this is a 4.2 model, and it is a Type 2 iron. That's not referring to the Type 2 cable. This is a Type 2 iron because it's got these little little dots that get more and more elongated towards the tip of the iron. So this particular iron is a model 4.2, but it is a Type 2 because of those dots there. To show you the difference, this is a 4.1 pair of irons. It wouldn't make any difference if they were 4.2s, but you can see that they have just slots, and that is the difference between a Type 1 or Type 2 iron. This one unfortunately can have a Type 2 or Type 3. You do need to take them apart to be sure which type you've got, and as you can see here, I've removed the cover for you, and this has a Type 2 socket and a Type 2 cable. You will very often find that you cannot separate these two because of the arcing and sparking. This one's not too bad, but it's pretty warm. But often if you touch this, you will get a black coating on your finger because of all the sparking, and that's soot coming from the sparking that's been going on for many years. So if you open them up and you have this type, please swap to the Type 3 cable and the Type 3 sockets. I've got a slightly different example here. This is a pair of SS4s, and again, because it's got the dots, this is a Type 2 iron. If it had slots here, it would be the older SS4, but a Type 1 iron. Different cable on the ones with the slots. This has the dots, so it can in theory be the Type 2 as we have here, or in fact this particular pair has been fitted with the latest socket and cable, which is the Type 3. Okay, so in this case this is a very reliable socket and cable. If you've damaged the cable, perfectly okay just to purchase the cable on its own and pop it with some fresh grease into the existing socket. In the highly unlikely event of this socket being faulty, you can obviously replace it with our Type 3 pattern part, completely compatible with that, or we sell used genuine sockets, but when we're doing repairs here we will use the pattern part, perfectly okay. The Mark V range of irons with gold plates, or there's a whole load of different colours plates. You can have gloss colours. In fact, most of the irons from GHD are available in gloss colours, but the internals are exactly the same as these all black ones. So if you've got a Mark V pair with these gold plates, you can see the switch is different compared to the older 4.2s. These will always have a Type 3 cable fitted, and you can look down there possibly and see the clear plastic of the socket that I've just showed you on this pair here. So yes, Type 2 on this pair, please always change both the cable and the socket at the same time to a much more reliable Type 3 cable and socket. If you have older pairs of older models, then they will be a Type 1 cable, and again Type 1 and Type 3 look very similar. This is a Type 1 that I'm showing you now, and this is the Type 3 cable. Not compatible. So the older irons, have a look on our other video for the Type 1 cables. It shows you all of the irons that this one is compatible with, and this Type 3 is what you want for this one, or the older Type 2 cable and socket. Just remember that Type 1 or Type 2 irons is referring purely to the model of the irons. It is not referring to the type number of the cable. So a Model 3 pair of GHDs use a Type 1 cable for older irons. It does not mean they're Mark 3 irons, so they need a Type 3 cable. Those two things are completely different. Okay, so hopefully that will help some of you choose the correct cable.